Pry open your third eye with me, your big-headed know-it-all, polymath Scott Spackey. Yes, change your mind, change your life. Full episodes, services, knowledge, and all you'll ever need on scottspackey.com and life-mind.com. Are you ready? Pry open your third eye with polymath and big-headed know-it-all, Scott Spackey, and my ever-going guest and producer and conspirator and collaborator, Chloe. And I always don't say, I never say your last name because I don't know how to say it. Semperi? Semperi. I'll get it wrong every time. So we're here to just kind of introduce ourselves and the theme for this podcast so people can kind of sample it and see what it's going to kind of be like. And so it's not scripted. It's kind of raw and off the cuff. That's just it. I mean, what this Pry Open Your Third Eye podcast is about is general topics of all kinds of things. And the bottom line is, I was thinking about this as we get online for this today, and I'm thinking, I don't like chit chat. You're not much of a chit chatter either. And I have a very low tolerance for that. About 2-3 minutes of hi, how you doing, how's your weekend kind of stuff, and I'm out, right? Not even 2-3 minutes, more like a few sentences, and I'm kind of out. I like chatting with you. I like having conversation. I just don't like the casual chit chat. So typically, again, what we've always done in our kind of working together sessions, we jump right in. We always go right to the big stuff. You know, we don't do much chit chat. So that's, if people want chit chat, this will be the wrong place for it. I'm not saying it's never going to happen, because again, we're just going to do what we feel like.
We do talk a lot, though.
We do talk a lot, which is...
We do talk a lot.
Which is kind of how this began, because as we got to know each other, I mean, you kind of hired me for some spiritual training and development, and because you had found me online, I guess, because you were looking for numerology and Kabbalah and those kind of things, and you discovered me online, connected with me, and so I became kind of your spiritual trainer and development trainer, and not kind of, but that's exactly what it was. And you know, typically what that is, people pay me a fee, and I spend anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half per session training them and teaching them things and sharing all kinds of insights and profound knowledge with them to help them become spiritually developed and their conscious, etc. And Chloe exploits me. She totally exploits me because there's 2 words I would use to describe you: curious and attentive. And I think those are great virtues. Curious and attentive. Her ever-going thirst and hunger for knowledge and insights. She learned very early on by talking to me that if she asked challenging questions to me, she'd just keep me online and keep going for a long time. So because I won't deny those answers. And so I was intrigued. I'm like, this person wants knowledge. And so even though I'm like starving and hungry and getting tired, whatever, I'm like, she asks such good questions, I can't deny it. And I knew that you knew this. You could sense it early on, and you knew, because I mean, I would say things like, "We got to wrap up here pretty soon," and suddenly you come up with like a very sharp, poignant, interesting, fascinating question that would make us dive down to another rabbit hole. You know? Pretty
good at letting conversations keep going on and on and on, hooking them back in.
It's very deliberate, isn't it?
It's not.
Well, you know, I mean, honestly, the thing is, again, as a counselor and mentor and teacher for many, many years, I don't know, got to be going on 20 years now for me. There are many clients and students that I'm kind of like tapping my foot thinking like, is this going to be over soon? It's kind of dull for me. And it's not that I don't find everyone fascinating on some level. It's just that it's stuff that I'm very familiar with. So I love it when somebody engages me and challenges me and makes me think and makes me work for it, you know? I mean, so I just can't stop when somebody's doing that. So that's kind of how our collaboration came together. And as I began a spiritual mystical training group within the Portal book that I had released around that, we had kind of a regular set of people that were coming on for that. That was like a podcast. It was just all through video, and it was just a very private kind of group of people together. And there were a few regulars, and Chloe was one of them, of course, from the very beginning. And yeah, it just kind of evolved. And so that group kind of disbanded some, and so the conspiracy was just that, to try to continue this in more broader aspect. So rather than just mystical and spiritual content and context, this is going to be covering a lot of areas, whatever's on our mind. However, we've already agreed that there's a lot of topics that are not going to be discussed. And I'm not saying forbidden, never to be mentioned, but politics, business, marketing, these kind of things, this is not the kind of place for this. So Pry Open Your Third Eye is not simply about spiritual or mystical context. Pry Open Your Third Eye is to remove ignorance in any area. And so, again, as I'm a polymath, and the term big-headed know-it-all, that a woman that I was dating for a while, she was a very Persian queen. I think she was a very regal person. And so she kept referring to me as, she's Persian, and so she kept referring to me as her bache poro. And I'm like, finally I said, like, what the hell is that? She says, you're a big-headed know-it-all. So I put it on my website. I said, that's wonderful. I'm going to keep that. So I wasn't angry. I was like, that's perfect. I love it. So I'm a bache poro. That's Persian for big-headed know-it-all.
Perfect.
Excuse me. So, yeah, in our sessions, I always think ahead. I always anticipate. I always plan ahead, because you deserve that. As a client and student, you deserve me putting some thought into your session prior so that I show up prepared to educate you, enlighten you, entertain you, all those kind of things. And almost all the time, I begin with I tell you what the topic's going to be either before or at the session, and we begin that, and who knows where we go. We go all over the place. Yeah, I mean, we do address that topic, but we end up somewhere that we don't even know where we end up. And it's all wonderful, it's all deep, it's all profound, it's all kind of educational and inspiring, and that's the beauty about this session that we've had since we've been doing this podcast even. So even this is the intro, we've already done a bunch of sessions with people and guests, and so this is kind of coming back and we're doing this now. And again, the guests that we've had on already, we just begin with one topic and it just leads into something that's more beautiful, more profound, more challenging, more interesting, so we never know where it's going to go. And I do agree that it makes some very interesting content. It's not just chit-chat stuff. So you're a great conversationalist, and I like talking to you because you have those two attributes that I enjoy the most. Curiosity, and what did I say the other one was?
Attentiveness?
And being attentive. She pays good attention. See what I mean? And I was wondering, like, I wanted to ask, so now it's going to be your challenge. I'm going to put you on the spot. I know she doesn't really like that, which I kind of enjoy doing because you don't like it. So I had to come up with 2 words to describe you. I thought about this morning over my coffee, and that's what I came up with. And so same thing. 2 words to describe you. Don't hold back. This is for everyone else. So 2 words to describe you. This is not planned. It's not a rehearse. Everybody knows this is not planned to rehearse. So 2 words that describe somewhat me.
See, you had time over coffee to think about this. And now
I
you
know.
just call me out right now to come up with
But mine
2.
came like that. Mine came like that. I didn't like stew on it for a long time. It kind of came up pretty quick.
The word playful is coming to my mind kind of from this scenario, and it wouldn't be my top 2, but I would say that it's up there. Because
I like that. Thank you.
You
That's
like to
cool.
have fun.
I do.
And
At myself even.
Even when we're talking about some really serious and macabre and death and destruction,
Yeah.
we're still laughing and having fun. And I think that's what, it's playful. It makes it fun.
Okay. Give me one more word.
And you're playing with me right now because you want to see what I can throw out.
Yep.
So,
That's
there you
right.
go.
You're correct. That's right. It's done with good intention. It's done with affection, and it is playful. It's not to put you on the spot and make you uncomfortable, but it does. But it is done with a playful intention. So give me one other word.
Dedicated, committed.
That's nice. So, and here's
It
the
doesn't
thing.
matter what it is. You will try it, and you will try it with your whole heart and your whole mind.
Yeah, I am what's called a solipsist. One of the many adjectives that most people don't even know that kind of fit for me, like polymath. I'm a solipsist. So you've heard of narcissist, optimist, pessimist, and all those kind of things. Solipsist is a unusual term that it's also Greek founded, and so solipsist is somebody that gets locked into a topic or subject or an activity, and just the entire rest of the world and universe goes away. So when I'm in the tunnel, like when I'm writing, the entire universe doesn't even exist to me. When I'm writing in one of my books, I mean, I'm totally unaware of it. I'm unaware of my bodily needs, unaware of any distractions. I just block it all out. My cat has to come in and he's like, meow, he's like hanging around. Like, first of all, he just starts walking around. He's basically saying like, hey, bitch, I'm hungry. It's been 4, and he's my policeman because he reminds me, he's like, you're hungry. You need to eat something, man. It's been like 4 hours. You haven't even moved. You've been sitting there working. You got to get up and eat. So because when I get up and feed him, and he saves my life all the time. So I'm very thankful for that. So I'll tell you the 2 words that I most commonly hear about me online and through clients over the years. And I take them in 2 ways because I know how they're intended. It's different for everybody. The most common is I knew you get a kick out of that, and that's
I get that one a lot.
Yeah, intense. I know you do. Intense and genuine or authentic. Now, keep in mind those both sound very flattering. However, The context with which that is intended varies from person to person. Some people mean intense as in overwhelming, irritating, annoying, and is just overbearing. Okay? Some people mean intense like he's very passionate. Okay? Now, I prefer it that way, obviously, but I know many people are being politically correct and being woke when they're saying intense, and they really mean, yeah, he's overwhelming, you know? And the other one being genuine, authentic. Same thing, two different contexts. One context is genuine, authentic is, yeah, he's the real deal. I mean, there's no, what you see is what you get. He's telling you the truth. He's not going to be fake or anything like that, and I think that's the complimentary part. Then the other group of people mean that with a different intention, which is genuine, authentic, meaning, yeah, he it's just very raw. Like I'm trying to find the right context. It's not as complimentary. They mean it more in the straight between your eyes kind of thing, you know? Not very gentle. And I have to agree with both contexts. I think I am very genuine, authentic. I don't change really who I am, and yet I'm very adaptable, chameleon-like to certain people. And at the same time, yeah, I try to filter, I guess. I want to be sensitive and kind to people. At the same time, I'm going to tell them what they need to hear. But I have found that I think that how you tell people. So, for example, if I see somebody that's wearing an ugly hat, I'm not going to say, oh my God, the hat's so ugly. I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I don't think that hat really goes with you. So I'm going to say it out loud. I'm going to be very direct, but I'm not going to be mean about it. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we all should do. I think we should all be as authentic and genuine and straightforward as we should be, but be also simultaneously sensitive. You don't need to be a bully, you know?
Kindness is just kindness. It doesn't mean you don't say things. It means you
That's
say
right.
them kindly.
That's right. It's how you say them, not what you say. Yeah, and again, I want people to be honest and direct with me. I don't want to dance around and figure out what you fucking mean. I can't stand around and read minds. I can do it, and I have some psychic abilities, many of them, but I don't use them. I don't tap into those. And I don't want to figure... I can't stand, whether it's guests on this program or clients that I work with or grocery store clerks or everything else in the world, is I'm always having to say, what do you mean by that? I get texts from people. Just the other day, I got a text from one of our guests, and I'm wondering when we're getting, like, checking, confirming the time and all that. And the text I'm getting in replies, I'm like, what does that mean? Literally, I said, so we're together in like 10 minutes. Are you ready? Just confirming. And she texted back and said, I got sick at work today. What does that does not answer my question at all. And
Can't you fill in the blanks, though?
Well, and I'm assuming what that means is that you again, even as I start to assume, with the conclusion is that you're implying that you got sick at work today, so therefore you have to cancel? Why not add in, I have to cancel, I got sick today? It's just, I'm a very literal person. I'm not inferential, I'm very literal, and so I got sick at work today. I said, are you ready to start in 10 minutes? I got sick at work today. What? I can't connect those two things together immediately. And as I'm trying to write I want to be sensitive because this person clearly got sick, so I want to be sensitive to that. At the same time, I'm kind of like, I'm going through this war in my head. Like, how do I respond to that? What do I say? Do I say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? And I'm also like, we're supposed to start in 10 minutes. I got to know, are we doing this or not? We did not do it. Okay, we rescheduled. Okay.
There you go. That was your answer.
Well, no, but I had to find out. And again, I mean, it's just this. So yeah, I don't appreciate that. I like to have conversations where I don't have to ever say, what do you mean by that? And so here's the thing. I am guilty in my intensity and my authenticity. I am guilty in the sense of I explain things very, very thoroughly, as you know. And many women do not like that because they consider it mansplaining, and I'm not mansplaining anything. I just know that, I think it was Nietzsche that I quote often, that said, it is not enough to be understood. It is far more important to not be misunderstood. And I think I learned that when I was like 13 years old is when I read Nietzsche. And I was like, that has stayed with me all my life. It is not enough to be understood. It's far more important to not be misunderstood. So I explain things in ways that when I'm done, you don't have any curiosity. Very rarely when I'm doing workshops and doing presentations, when I say, does anybody have any questions? Usually hands don't go up. That's not because they're not interested. That's because I've answered them. I've covered the bases. I want to make sure they can answer questions, but typically people sit and think for a moment, I guess not, because the questions I had, you've been answering along the way. And so, again, if you like that, then you enjoy it, and that's great. You seem to enjoy it, because, again, you're very curious, and so you like the answers. And, again, I kind of anticipate what somebody would be asking if I don't explain it, what they need to know.
I think that the other thing that you help facilitate your clients or students, depending on the context, is to help them to help themselves to figure things out. And there's these subtle ways to help us to think more, just in a slightly different manner. To come to a different conclusion, so you're able to connect the dots by weaving these things together.
Precisely my strategy in attack mode. I don't want to give you a fish, I want to teach you how to fish. And so don't want to give you conclusions, I want to lead you to conclusions. Now, I was doing this in my private practice from the beginning, because I learned that when you tell people stuff, they don't do it. They forget it. They don't retain it. But when they think that they thought of it, when they came up with the idea, then it stayed. Then they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, I would have clients come in a week later and say, guess what I figured out? And I'm like, and I'd hear it, and I wouldn't say it out loud, but I'd be thinking, oh, you mean the exact same shit I was telling you last week, specifically? And you just figured all that out? Because and again, the people that knew me for a long time, they'd end up saying, you know what? They would end up calling me like a few days later and say, you know what? You put the wheel in motion. You put a bug in my head, and eventually, I figured it out. I know where you were going with all this. And so, yeah.
Parenting 101.
You would think 101, but clearly a lot of parents are not doing it. They're telling kids what to do instead. And so, again, what I was doing is, as I was writing Project Addiction book and Project Addiction Counselor, I was working a little bit with my uncle, who's a head of psychology at the Michigan State Hospital, right? Very important man and very brilliant man. And so we're talking some shop, and he says to me, oh, you mean motivational interviewing? And I'm like, what? He goes, you just described what you're doing. You're applying motivational interviewing. And I said, I never heard of that. What's that? He goes, you never heard of it? It's exactly what you're doing. You're leading people to conclusions. You're helping them arrive at that conclusion on their own. And he goes, yeah, there's a whole book on it by Rolnick. And I get the book, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a profound philosophy in psychology, and I've been doing this for years on my own. It was just intuitive. I didn't write a book on it. I didn't get to make money on it. God damn it, pissed me off. Yeah, I'm leading people to conclusions because I've learned early on that when you give them answers, they don't have as much value. When we think that the answers came from ourselves, then suddenly it's like, oh, I've had this epiphany, and so people act on them. But yeah, again, you got to teach people to fish. You just can't give them the fish.
We need to own it.
Yeah, that is kind of my MO. Sorry?
We need to own our own stories. We need to own our own process. And we do need help. But so often, how many times in life have we all experienced, either as a parent or as a child, knowing in retrospect, I know I heard that from a third party, but the first person I heard it from was my mom or my dad.
Right.
And I'm not going to give him credit.
No, can't do that because I have an animosity relationship somewhere in there too. It's very textured, so I can't do that.
Or whatever the reason might be. That you just need we all need to feel our own individual empowered selves.
Yes, and you said it perfectly. We have to take ownership of it. We need to feel that we own it. And listen, as the parent, and I will talk occasionally of my superhero son. He's 6'2". He's very lean. He's very handsome. He's a firefighter, for God's sake. I mean, he's like the poster child. It's uncanny, and he's very humble. He's also a pain in the ass. And so much of what he is and who he's become, I specifically designed and led him to that with so much attentive care. I mean, I was strategic in doing this to lead him to where he wanted to but needed to go. I get zero credit for this. He did it all on his own. It's like I was just there standing by and watching it all go down, and that's fine. He's my son, and I'm just happy for him. And so, but yeah, I get the personal pleasure knowing that I was a catalyst in those things, but I don't get the outside accolades,
I think it'll come around. As a parent of a four-year-old, I'm starting to come around and thank my mom a lot more and have a little more perspective.
It does. It doesn't happen often. Again, my son is the strong silent type. Occasionally, once or twice a year, not on my birthday because I get the call. He calls me on my birthday the day after when he remembers, not the day of, and then he makes it sound like he was just busy, and I know better. But yeah, I get the occasional spontaneous text or call. that says, I love you, you mean so much to me, you've done so much for me, and all those kind of things. And I know, and he says, you know what I mean. And that's his way of saying, like, Dad, you know that I'm not a really articulate guy like you are. And so you know what I mean. Inside that brief sentence is a volume of stuff that's from his heart, you know? And I think that's important. I mean, I do feel it's important that we express and tell people what they mean to us and how they affect us, even if it's bad stuff. And again, to do it sensitively. I'm not going to tolerate people that are abrasive or annoying or uncooperative or any of those kind of things. I paid my dues. I've been on the planet a long time. I'm not putting up with that shit. I just don't have the patience for it anymore. I'm entering my curmudgeon phase of life, and I'm loving it. I've earned it, and I'm absolutely loving it, and I'm not going to... When you get to be old and senior, which I'm not anywhere near there yet, but when I get there, you get to do stuff like fart in public and say stupid shit. Oh, well, he's old. You got to look the other way on that, I'm looking forward to that. The wacky stuff, Be my guest. If you'd like to be a guest on Pry Open Your Third Eye, go to scottspackey.com. That's SCOTTSP as in Paul, ACKEY.com. Inspiring and exciting conversations on many topics to choose from, or submit a topic of your own. scottspackey.com. Be my guest. So this podcast is going to cover a range of topics and a range of discussions. And again, we never really know where it's going to end up. One of our early guests, Courtney, who we're both actually going to be speaking to later on today, we got together to have a discussion about some changes she wanted to make, about stop smoking and expressing herself. And we were all surprised that the last part of the conversation that turned into an hour-long conversation was really just some of the most beautiful, profound, lovely things that we all shared that none of us anticipated. And so that's kind of the point, is that I don't want guests on this show that are professionals that are hawking a product, that are experts in their field. Occasionally that may happen, but I want, you could say, everyday people. I don't want to say common, I don't want to say average, because no one is common or average. Well, there's a few. But everyday people that can share with us what their thoughts are, what their challenges are. And again, well, that's also because as a bachiporu, I'm a big-headed know-it-all, and I don't want to have other professionals on here because I want to be the guy in charge. I want to be the guy. So, and typically I do. My struggle with, as people say, hey, did you read or watch so-and-so? Are you familiar with Bob? And I'm like, not so much. Because as a polymath, again, it sounds like I'm bragging. Being a polymath is a real bitch, okay? I know a lot of stuff all the time. This morning's coffee, as I come up with these things, I got so many ideas flooding in, I can't contain them, I can't act on them, I can't write them all down. They're all flooding in so fast and it happens all the time. So the polymath thing, with the ideas and the knowledge, it's a real struggle because, number one, it sets me apart. It makes people wary. They feel less than and I'm not showing off. I'm just trying to share what I know. So there's that part, and also because it's just a lot to kind of process. So there's as many downsides of being a polymath as there are upsides. People can seem kind of envious because you know so much. You're a polymath. But it comes with a set of struggles that I don't get to talk about very much, that is very isolating. But again, the upside is, with this kind of format, when we get together and talk about things, is literally when I had my office, my private practice going in Los Angeles, I had a reputation for the polymath kind of thing there too. And I would have workshops occasionally and groups and get-togethers. And my little band of clients and students that would come around, they came with this little game. And it was, have you seen the Drew Carey improv show, the comedy improv show that he had
Whose
on?
Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah, Whose Line Is It Anyway? And they did this Scenes from the Hat thing where they would they pick a name or a word out of a hat and they'd have to act it out. So my students come with the same kind of thing. It was topics from a hat. They would put words in to a hat, random words, random topics, and whatever came out, I had to talk about. And so, for example, one person put in the word chair. And I'm like, what am I going to do with chair? What do you want about a chair? And I said, well, and right away it just kind of came in, and I was like, well, Confucius said, literally, this is who said it. So this is literally what I said. And it was instant. I saw the word chair, and I'm like, well, this is what comes to mind. What came to mind immediately was Confucius said, chairing is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do but gets you nowhere, right? So that's immediately what I said. Then we went and talked about anxiety and stress and worry for the next hour and had a profound conversation that everybody benefited from,
That's great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You never know where it's going to go. And again, that's what this podcast is starting to shape up to be already, as we've done some of the sessions already, is that we have a topic, we have a structure, we have a bullet point list of things, so to speak, but we don't know where it's going to go all the time. And sometimes it's going to be you and I, sometimes it's going to be over some of the books that I've written and some of the other things, and sometimes it's going to be with some guests, talk whatever's on their mind, and just invite them into to the discussion. Yeah?
Yeah, you never know where we're going to go.
You never know where you're going to end up. And so there you go. Road Games, my only fiction book of short stories. There's 8 short stories. So Road Games is all travel oriented. They take place on the sea, in the air. There's one on an airplane. They're all travel oriented kind of horror stories. It's like Twilight Zone with sex and drugs and a lot of violence. A lot of very macabre violence. And it's my only fiction book. So, and literally it says the cover shows a road. It's going to be behind me, but I'm not going to reach for it. So a cover shows like a little road on the cover, and it says you never know where you're going to end up. And I like that. When I'm watching or listening to anything, I don't want to know where I'm going to end up. That's what's so great about sports. Sports, you can't predict it. You can kind of figure what's going to happen, depends on who's playing, but generally, you don't know for sure. And so even when it kind of sucks, other time, also, I'm not a big giant football fan, but I do watch. I turn on some football, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good game. This should be good. 2 good teams. And sometimes somebody fucking chokes, and you're just like, great, now I got 3 hours of nothing to do because I decided to do this. Now I got nothing going on, Kind of a ripoff. So sometimes the unpredictability does not work in your favor. Now, Chloe, let me ask you, what kind of topics do you anticipate we have on this podcast? What do you think's coming up? We don't know yet because it's brand new. So what do you think is going to happen? What do you want to talk about?
So far, we've been focusing on a lot of habits and things, and that's material habits, behavioral, and psychological, and drug addiction. That's a wide variety of things in and of itself, the human condition and why we do things and the way our minds work. That's pretty broad. However, it opens the door to a lot of subjects that we can discuss and weave in, and that's fun, I think. I like to think in layers. I can't help it, but tend to not have a lot of boundaries between the material and the mystical and the spiritual. A lot of things just kind of meld into each other for me or have multiple meanings. And I think that's fun.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, that's partly why we don't plan ahead and stick to the script, because we want the freedom to just take it where it goes. And this, to me, in every session I've had with a client throughout my entire career, it's a living, breathing thing. You don't know what kind of shape it's going to take. And so I would have parents, family members calling me and saying, so what'd you talk about in your session with my son today? And I said, well, number one, it's confidential, so I can't really tell you that, but I can tell you generally. So, and I give them a little summary, and they'd say, so you didn't talk about his drug addiction? And I'm like, not today. But that's what we're paying you for. And I'm like, look, sometimes the best way to talk about it and counsel them is not to talk about it at all. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm exposing this individual to a mature, sensible personality. He's growing from that. And when he's mature and on his own, with maturity, he won't do drugs. Because that's what maturity is, to be responsible. And so they would see that basically I'm influenced, I'm having an effect. And so again, that's the benefit of not having the script, not knowing exactly where it's going to go, to be able to have the flexibility, as you said, the layers. We just don't know. And so one thing I think we both have enjoyed so much when in our conversation with each other is that, again, as you said, it's layered. You don't know where it's going to go, and we're not uncomfortable with any area that it goes in. But again, we're both easily bored and very easily distracted with other things that just are mundane and trivial. So we don't do that. Again, if you want a podcast on entertainment or politics or business or marketing, wrong place, because I'm not only not going to do it, but I'm going to get bored to shit if I try. And so instead it's going to turn into a comedy routine, because my way of passing the time is going to make jokes and make fun of it. Not make fun of it. I don't do that. It's simply that I have my rather sharp sense of humor, that, like you said, playful. And I'm not meaning any offense to anybody, but I'm totally okay with having somebody having fun at my expense. I'm totally okay with that. I encourage it. Please do. But make it funny. I don't care if you make jokes about me or make fun of me. Just make it funny. Because if it's not funny, I don't care that you're insulting me. I care that you're not being funny. You're not being entertaining. Make it good.
Whatever you do, just make it good.
Yeah. make it sparkle, make it shine. So we're going to wrap up here on this a little bit. So this again is just simply a way of giving people a sense of who we are. Who knows how long this is going to go for? This may fail and go underwater in a day or two. We don't know. We're going to have some fun. We figure why not broadcast some of these topics and subjects and invite people in for the conversation. Again, so far what we've gotten is such a variety. We've had a couple of guests that were kind of not that interesting. We've tried to make them interesting. And we've had a couple of guests that are very interesting that we did not expect. And so, again, I don't really want to use professionals and career people marketing their own products. I want to use everyday people to participate in conversation with us so we can all explore and go deep and profound. And yes, I am your fearless leader. I am your cult master. I didn't get a big eye roll. I thought you were going to roll your eye and shut me up on that because I had a little joke when I started the spiritual group is people would join the group and I would say, welcome to my cult.
Makes everyone panic a little.
Yeah, and I thought it was hilarious. And many people, when I would say that were new, would start to chuckle and laugh. And a couple people would be like, "Whoa," you know. And it's like, and that for me, that was a way of weeding them out. It's like if you don't get the humor in that, then you don't want to hang out here. You're not going to fit in. And there were a couple people that did not get the humor in that felt kind of like kind of shocked. You know, they didn't last.
We talk about pretty serious subjects, but we try to not take ourselves so seriously.
Well, yeah, and like you said, my playful humor. I have gallows humor. I talk about very serious, deep things, but to me, at the same time, nothing matters. I am both a purpose person, and I'm also a nihilist. I don't give a shit. Everything matters, so therefore nothing matters, and nothing matters, so therefore everything matters. It's a Zen thing. It's a yin yang thing. Literally, that's what I feel. Everything is so absolutely critical, and yet because of that. For that very reason, nothing matters. And because nothing matters, everything matters. What's more important? Nothing is more important. Everything is equal. So you can get caught in that loop, and I'm getting caught in that loop. So we're going to wrap that up, right? That's when, Chloe, that's when I'm encouraging you as my producer to say, Scott, slow down, shut up. And you can refer to me as Krishnanand too. Krishnanand is my spiritual name that I use in my spiritual training and teaching and counseling. And Scott is my more worldly one, so I use a bit of both. You can refer to me as both. But I'm counting on you, Chloe. If I'm speaking too fast, tell me to shut up. Do you know why I speak too fast?
There's too much going on in that brain. Can't get it out fast enough.
My mouth cannot. See? That's why you need to be here, because my mouth cannot keep up with the thoughts of my brain. And I'm trying to. I'm like, oh, I got to hurry because I gotta tell this thought. And they're all coming in so fast. I'm trying to run through them and I can't get to them.
Sometimes I know the same feeling. It's hard to slow yourself down and to be in this exact present moment talking about this exact thing. Everything has its purpose.
But you have seen also, I mean, I'm not schizophrenic, but I mean, you have seen also that I can be actually quite mellow, and I can actually be quite mellow and kind of sedated, you know? Not burned out, but yeah, I have my calmness too. And again, the thing is I am calm with excitability. I like excitability. I enjoy it. That calms me. That makes me feel, it may not calm you when you see it or hear it from me, but it calms me, you know? I'm enjoying it.
Excellent.
So yeah, I will, and so when I was in a relationship with a woman for a long time, she used to sit in the front row when I give workshops and presentations, which I was doing all the time. I've done that throughout my career. She would sit in the front row. We had signals, and we had little hand signals worked out where she would be saying like, slow down, move on, change the subject. Because I would, as a polymath, I would start explaining something and then go down that rabbit hole. I'd be so far off, everybody would be fascinated and entertained and getting into it, but I wouldn't be talking about the thing that I came there to talk about. You know, and many of these people they're paying money. Yeah, and they're paying money. So that's right. Yeah, I did. So yeah, I need a shock collar. I think I need to wear a shock collar so you can just have a remote button and push it and shock me. It'll wake me up and make me realize I've either got to slow down or change subjects.
I can be guilty of both. I can be very attentive to keeping us on task and also fully welcome to go down all the tangents. I love a good tangent.
Let me ask you about your attention to detail, okay? And I thought about this over coffee too, and I decided, but I got to ask you this. Chloe has an incredible attention to detail. When we're done with the session, she will have timestamp that she wrote down during. You won't even look. She doesn't look like she's taking notes. She will take notes, look things up online that are referred to. I won't even know she's doing it. And she was like, oh, well, Google says this. And I'm like, when did you go do that? How do you know that? She goes, I was typing in while you were talking. Right? And
I am paying attention too.
And you're actually paying attention the entire time. And when you're done, yesterday, after a session, she said, here, she gave me like a 5 timestamp list of things. She said, at 7 minutes and 42 seconds in, somebody's phone went off. There was a rustling of paper. And I'm like, so, and I think it's wonderful. But are you fastidious or obsessive compulsive? Pick one.
Can't you be a little bit of both?
Yeah, and I think that depends on the mood. Yeah, they're shades of the same thing, fastidious and obsessive compulsive. So it just depends, I guess, on the time of day, right? I mean, sometimes I'm like, God damn it, that's got to be this way. It's got to be that way now. Another time I'm kind of like, it should be like this. You know?
Yes, it gets in the. Maybe not for timestamps or helpful practical things where it can make a really good product in the end. But it can get in the way in relationships. It can get in the way of being present in the moment and saying, that's not necessarily important right now. I should put those things aside and just do this, whatever this is. A lot of the times that has to do with being with my child, because that is such a spontaneous thing to be with a 4-year-old.
Spontaneity is definitely needed in that area. Well, I'll tell you that, again, to the polymath thing, this ties into the polymath thing. And listen, the weird thing is, as an intellectual, as this very cerebral person, the irony is that I only heard the word polymath a few years ago. I've been like this all my life, but I never heard the word polymath until I read Da Vinci's biography, which is an absolutely amazing version of his biography. He's the most famous polymath. I'm not comparing myself with him, but the thing is, again, the curse of polymath is, while Michelangelo was out there making a ton of money and getting fame and fortune, Da Vinci is virtually unrecognized compared to him. He's still very famous at the time as well, very well noted, and the problem is, I went in Italy, and I went to the Da Vinci's, like where he was born. There's a museum there. And what you see is this mass treasure of experiments and ideas and notes and things they did that never got produced. Scuba was one of the things he never got to produce. And it's because he had so many ideas, he would begin them and he couldn't finish them all. And so he'd move on to something else. And so, yeah, the part of the problem with that is that, again, you get too many ideas, they come in too fast. And again, that goes into the obsessive compulsive fastidiousness. You know, you got to try to be selective. And again, it depends on your stress levels. If you're anxious at that time, you're probably going to be more particular and picky about it. But I just want to tell you that I appreciate it, because when you give me those bullet point lists of the timestamps of things that occurred, like somebody's phone ringing or whatever, I had no idea. You made some comments about some of the guests that we had that you said their phone went off, they were doing, and I had no clue of any of this, none. I was totally oblivious to it.
That's why I'm here.
That's right. It's very valuable. So we have our roles, and so hopefully people will enjoy this and tune in. And we never know where it's going to go. Pick a subject, and please, anyone and everyone is welcome to come on this show. And again, I'm not saying you can't hawk your wares and promote your businesses and your services. You absolutely can if you're a guest on this show, but that's not what it's all about. But you definitely can do that. If you got something you want to plug and promote, absolutely. But be interesting, try to have a sense of humor, and let's get something done. Let's entertain people while enriching and illuminating their minds. Let's pry open the third eye. Not gentle, let's pry it open and be conscious and aware and awake. Not woke. Oh my God, I'm so sick of those terms. But pry it open. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to pry open your third eye. Good place to stop? All right, that's going to do it. We're going to disconnect right now, and we'll see you in another episode. Till next time, leave your third eye open. Full episodes, services, knowledge, and all you'll ever need on scottspacky.com and life-mind. Be my guest. If you'd like to be a guest on Pry Open Your Third Eye, go to scottspacky.com. That's SCOTTSP, as in Paul, ACKEY.com. Inspiring and exciting conversations on many topics to choose from, or submit a topic of your own. scottspacky.com. Be my guest.